Welcome back. MTG Joe here. We're here for the weekly metagame breakdown for the historic best of 3 format. Best of 1 we did last week, so you can kind of catch it there. So we're going to look and see what people are playing on the ladder up to mythic rank thus far. Towards the end of the month, there will be a historic qualifier weekend. The play-in is towards the end of October. It's really weird this time because the October play-in is sealed, which is in like a couple weeks, but then historic's the end of the month, and then the first week of November is the actual qualifier. So leading up, we'll start featuring it a little bit more. I'm saving up playing points. I got 47 right now, so a couple runs to go into that. I've been playing a mix of best of 1 decks, kind of getting a feel for it as well. But we're going to run through and see what people are playing in best of 3 based on TapGG. What you see on the screen, companion tool tracks user win rates who are using the tool. Gives us a whole bunch of stats we'll be looking at. The link for Untapped's in the video description if you want to track your own win rates. And then all these deck lists will be pasted and timestamped in the video itself. So we're going to start off looking at the distribution of decks, and then we will look at the deck lists themselves. We are like less than 600 subs away from 20,000, so if you do enjoy this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe. It's free, easy, helps out. So from Platinum to Mythic rank, it's still kind of early in the season reset, but it's pretty much showing like the Jund Goyfs deck, the Jund midrange deck at 12%, and then variations of Eldrazi. When we go to the data itself, we're seeing a bit more variety in terms of the decks themselves. So we're going to look Diamond Mythic rank since the ladder reset. So we have doing at 15 game cap just to get some more deck variety. If we do it like at 30 game, it drops to 4 from 23 games. Highest win rate is Jund Goyfs. We're going to look at 2 different versions of the deck. So this one here, 17 games, pretty high win rate. I think these decks are super, super fun. Pyrogoyf is a hell of a card. I will say this deck, having played it, the Jund matchup, especially game 1, feels miserable. But you can kind of hedge it into game 2 and 3 with some other cards added. So the core of the deck is a Goyf deck, and you're not actually playing Tarmogoyf in a lot of these lists. You have Barogoyf and Pyrogoyf. Pyrogoyf enters, or whenever another Goyf enters, deals damage equal to its power to any target. Any target. Plays crazy with Fable the Mirror Breaker, making copies. You have Barogoyf that comes in and lifelink Death Touch. When it deals combat damage, you mill, and then you get to put a creature from among the milled cards into your hand. This version here is on Crucius, full 4 of. Discard, and you can choose higher or lower, and then go kind of seek that card. So helps you discard a 3 to always find Pyrogoyf. For example, makes you a treasure. This is a legendary creature. For the version I was playing was 2 Crucius, 2 Jarsoul, full 4 Fable. It's kind of how you want to build your flex spots. This version, they usually always have a double Hierarch as a 4 of. Some variations could play anywhere between 0. This one's playing 4 Birds of Paradise. I was on 4-1 at a time. Just having the early accelerant does help, but late game, these are kind of anemic late game. The Fable does help you kind of churn, same with Crucius in that case. Thoughtseize Push. I will say Assassin's Trophy, play Abrupt Decay over it. I find the Abrupt Decay is a little bit better. The trophy does give you a little bit more of an answer game 1 against like an Eldrazi land. But Abrupt Decay gets around Sheltered by Ghost out of Auras. It's got flexibility to still hit a wide variety of targets. Most of the things you want to hit in this format anyways are less than 3. Terminate is a card that I was trying out as well. Just give you an answer to Eldrazi main, since most of your removal on the main board doesn't actually hit Eldrazi. And the Malevolent Rumble helps you dig into your pieces, helps you ramp, helps you hit lands. You have Prismatic Vista that can help enable the Revolt for Fatal Push. This one here is a Jengantha Companion, the way it's configured. And then this sideboard has Fire Magic for like energy, for the sweeper deck, for like the aggressive decks. I have like Calling Ritual. It's good against Affinity. It's good against like energy, since it hits also like the Bombardment, any of their enchantments, Static Prison, stuff like that. We have Brotherhood's End as a sweeper that also deals with Affinity here. Stone of Arich for the sack decks, anything with like dying triggers. Surgical Extraction in here for kind of combo hate. Shieldred's Edict, flexible Edict style effect. Herbrass Forge is an interesting one. Your opponent can cut you off the graveyard with Rest in Peace or stuff like that, making your Goyf smaller. So I guess against control, but I haven't really run into too much control with the deck. Minsk and Boo for the grindier matchups as well. Crocs is a good one in the mirror as well to kind of consider. So this isn't the next sequential, it would just Boros Auras, but we'll take a look at this version here. It's slightly different. So this one's no Giganta Companion because it's playing a full set of Dothy Voidwalkers. So 2 mana, 3/2 Shadow. It can't block or be blocked. So basically, it's basically unblockable. It can only block other creatures with Shadow, and I'm pretty sure this is the only creature with Shadow on Arena right now. So if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you exile it instead with a Void counter. And then you can sacrifice Dothy, and you can choose an exiled card with a Void counter, and you can play it this turn without paying its mana cost. This deals with any sort of situational graveyard decks. It's a way through just like kind of killing things. You can steal their best threats. This version, you see just the 3 Ignoble. It's got the 2 Abrupt Decays. It's got Draconic Fealty, which is a discard spell out of Alchemy. So you don't actually have dragons in the deck, so that text is largely irrelevant. It's basically 1 mana. Target player discards the greatest mana value per card in their hand. So forces to hit the bigger thing. This version's no Fable, but 3 Jarsil, 1 Liliana. Jarsil is basically Snapcaster Mage on drugs, and he just casts everything from your graveyard for free each turn. Culling Ritual, Soul Shatter is an interesting one here with the highest converted mana cost. Can be situational. There's also one that's like a Collect Evidence for 2 mana Edict that you can collect evidence and they have to sack the highest power, which is usually better against Auras. Lily for the grindier matchups, Go Blank, Hand Hate, and Graveyard Hate. Edict in here, just another way to kind of deal with the big stuff. Pearliest Iteration for grindier matchups, some nice card advantage. I've played around with this main board. Dampening Sphere helps cut off like Eldrazi lands, Lotus Field, stuff like that. Cleansing Wildfire, good against Eldrazi lands. Surgical for Graveyard Hate. Fealty for more discard. Haywire May for Artifact Enchantment Hate. The version I was running, I was trying upwards of 4 Stone Rain just to cut them off. I've tried like 2 like Pearliest Iterations in the main, just more card advantage. I do find the deck kind of struggles at times with just card advantage because you are a little reliant to the top of your deck. Boros Auras. So main board here, this one's at 87. Again, some small sample sizes. These can largely be 1 player, but these archetypes are all viable. This is pretty stock in the main. You have Light Paws and Score Spirit Dancer. Both take advantage of playing a bunch of auras. Then you're playing like a toolbox where you can get things like All That Glitters, Griff Spoon for flying, Hammer Hand for haste and unblockable, Shard Maze rescues your protection effect, Sheltered by Ghost in here as your removal, Demonic Ruckus plays really nice. You can plot it on 1, cast it on 2 on Light Paws, go fetch Sheltered by Ghost. This version's on Ampdraptor in the main, just for better against like the kind of grindier matchups. You can bring in Hushbringer against like any energy, things with a lot of ETB style effects. Then you have Esper Sentinel and Giver of Ruins. The choice between Giver of Ruins and Mothers of Ruins is situational. Giver gives you protection against colorless, so it's good against the Eldrazi decks. Mother of Ruins doesn't. Mother of Ruins can target itself and protect. Giver of Ruins can't. Giver of Ruins has 2 toughness. Mother of Ruins has 1 toughness, so it makes it worse at times into energy, which they can ping it off with a Goblin Bombardment trigger. So metagame call in terms of what you want to play there. Lurrus Companion, this version's on full 4 White Orchid Phantom, good against Eldrazi, just blowing up their lands. Hushbringer for anything with a lot of ETBs, Surgical for Graveyard Combo Hate, Meltdown for a lot of Artifact Infinity decks, Lorn Escape as a protection effect. We have Boros Energy, 82%, so we're seeing White Orchid Phantom in the main as a way to play against energy, but this is your Ajani, Goblin Bombardment Pile, full Ampdraptor, full Ocelots Pride, and then Stadium Headliner in here makes multiple bodies. Red tokens can be sacrificed to deal with creatures themselves, just a pseudo removal. Guided Souls in here, then just heavier on the removal, so full 4 Galvanic, 2 Fragment, 2 Static Prison. Lurrus Companion, against the Eldrazi decks, you have more White Orchard. You have Invasion for the grindier matchups, also can protect you against sweepers. Get Lost as catch-all removal. Anything looking to cheat creatures into play, you have Containment Priest. Now notably, if you cast creature off Ampdraptor, it will get exiled with the Priest. Thought Partition is basically like a white Thoughtseize, but instead of forcing your opponent to discard, makes the spell's CMC 5 colorless instead. So you can take out like a Fatal Push and make it 5 mana Fatal Push. Surgical, Graveyard Combo Hate, Stone against sack decks, Seam Rip as catch-all removal for small stuff, Pithing Needle for activated abilities. Simic Eldrazi. So the Eldrazi decks have a lot of ways to be built. I'm showing kind of one of each color, and then you can kind of tweak it as is. 82%. I've been playing a lot of this deck in best of one. It's very, very strong. Like, these decks do play at an angle. That's just some games where it's like turn 1, you go Uggin's Labyrinth, cast the Talisman, turn 2, like Sowing Mycospawn. Very easy to have like 6+ mana on turn 3 of the game. This has a really cool interaction where if you have Uggin's Binding in your graveyard, you can cast the Null Drifter for Evoke and then pop off with the Uggin's Binding. It's a nice reset. Emrakul's really strong like the Mirror. In best of 1, I'm playing Karn over Thought-Knot Seer. In best of 3, Thought-Knot Seer is probably better. And then your 7 drops Sire helps you stabilize against a lot of the aggressive decks. It's really strong in the Mirror. Ugin can be played in this slot. Uggin's okay in the Mirror, but it doesn't actually really remove anything other than Utopia Sprawls. It's a threatening ultimate and can provide some card advantage, but Sire just holds back a lot of the creatures, lets you play offense defense, which is fairly strong. Chalice for like Luris piles, low to the ground stuff, just lock them out of casting. Consign for the Mirror. Torpor Orb for anything with ETBs. If you have a Torpor Orb out, you can cast the Evoke side of Null Drifter and it doesn't sacrifice, so I play one of these main board in best of 1. Just the format tends to be a lot of like Val combo and energy, so it just beats some decks incidentally. Dismember as removal, Fade to History, deals with artifacts or enchantments, and then Cavernous Souls for the counterspell heavy decks. If you have some utility lands, Sanctum of Ugin can be sacked, find another creature. You have Blast Zone. This version is not playing Bojuka Bogs. Sometimes you can play Bojuka Bog, but you're situational with what lands you want to add in there. Boros Burn is a deck we haven't really seen. Boros Burn's at 80%. So you have Slickshot show off as a creature. You have Monastery Swiss Spear in here. And then you have Eidolon of the Great Revel. All kind of punish your opponent. Swiss Spear and Slickshot, just huge power boosts. Eidolon, anytime your opponent casts card 3 CMC or less, they're taking 2 damage from it. Then just tons of bolts. Bolt Wave, Burst Lightning, Chain Lightning, Kumano pings and is another creature here. You have Boros Charm for 4 damage. Electrostatic Blast is a 2 damage shock, and then when you cast your next instance or sorcery, exile top 3 cards. You may play one of those until the end of turn. So that gives you some card advantage. You could cast the blast at your like opponent's end step, untap, and then just play like a shock and cast multiple things. Skewer the Critics adds some more burn. Play Light Up the Stage potentially as well over the blast, but this one lets you be more proactive. In terms of, you also have Barbarian Ring here as another way to just sack a land when you have Threshold to deal 2 damage to your opponent. Threshold's when you have 7 or more cards in the library. Deflecting Swat is somebody call an ambulance, but not for me. So the next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented, deals that much damage to its controller. So if they're going to hit you with a big Eldrazi or something, well, then you flip the damage at them instead. Searing Blood for the load, like the small creature decks, Luris piles, kills the creature plus deals 3 to your opponent. Skullcrack, anything with life gain. Smash to Smithereens in here, deals with artifacts. You could play, like, instead of Skullcrack, Roiling Vortex. It's good against the grindier matchups. Anything like Affinity, it incidentally just kills them because they have a lot of 0 drops. So there's ways like that. Helps shut off the life gain there. You can play like Rending Volley. Deflecting Swat's a cool one against auras because they hit you for a big crack. You can redirect that damage to them instead. Gruul Eldrazi, again, another deck that can be built a couple different ways. This one is playing Chalice's main. You have a little bit lower to the ground creatures, a little bit more aggressive. It That Heralds the End is a lord for your colorless stuff. It makes your 7 drops cost 1 less. Kozilek's Command's like the best card in the deck. This card's insane every time you cast it. Wayscape Battle Mage, 2 mana 2/2, and then you can kick it for extra stuff. For a green, it just exiles artifact or enchantment. For 1 and a blue, it bounces a creature to its owner's hand. You have Eldrazi Linebreaker, comes down, and then haste. So you pick a creature, that creature gets haste and plus X, where X is the number of Eldrazi you control. It itself has trample, so it can push through huge amounts of damage, especially paired with a Glaring Fleshraker that just pings your opponent and then can push through, like, you just make a bunch of Eldrazi Scions, they ping, and then that all increases the power of the Linebreaker. This one's interestingly only on 2 Sowing Mycospawn, which is another one of the cards that's one of the better cards in the deck. I would not play less than 4 in the deck, I would say. probably swap these numbers around, honestly. And then you have Devour that helps you set up your draw, Full Sires, 3 Ugins in this particular version. You'll see like the Bajuka Bog, a Ghost Quarter in this version. Unclaimed Territory, Cavern, and Secluded Courtyard help fix the colored mana conditions for your Eldrazi's. Blast Zones can be brought in against the low to the ground stuff. It helps you blow up stuff. Thief of Existence is a way to blow up non-creature, non-land permanents for CMC or less. Dismember in here deals with just catch-all removal, more battle mages. Warping Whale can kill smaller things, counter sorceries, or just make a Scion an instant speed. Relic for Graveyard Hate, Null Elemental Blast for counters for or destroy multicolor permanents. Temur Lotus Field. So this is basically blue-red Lotus Field, but we got Crop Rotation, which is the perfect card for the deck since you just want to find your Lotus Field. So we have Lotus Field, we have Mana Confluence, and Starting Town. These can help you create your green mana along with Waterlogged Grove and Breeding Pool. You have Deserted Temple in here, which can then tap and untap the Lotus Field. What you're trying to do is have the Lotus Field trigger on the stack, you stifle or consign to memory it so you don't have to sack. Incidentally, having main board consigned to memory is very strong against Eldrazi, which is a bunch of colorless spells. What you then do is just tap and tap Lotus Field over and over again with like Pour Over the Pages, Hidden Strings, lets you churn through your deck when you have like Artist Talent out, and then you can use Breach to keep playing through your deck. You have Fave Wishes or Wish that can then go into your sideboard, and then you could win with either Grape Shot or Tendrils of Agony. You can also just find the Breach, you can mill out your opponent, or you could draw through your deck with Jace Wielder of Mystery. In your sideboard with the color, because you basically are pseudo 5-color deck, you have Fragment Reality for removal, he deals with hate pieces, Horn's Chant First Control helps you kind of silence them and then you can go off. Divine Purge, Temporary Lockdown as sweepers for hate pieces, low to the ground stuff. Naya Val, so this is a infinite combo, this one's at 75%. You have combination of Val plus Trelasara plus any way to gain a life or Scry Discover trigger. It creates an infinite loop. You would gain a life with Val, which puts a counter on Trelasara and lets you Scry, which gains a life with Val, and it basically pings your opponents to death. So this version here is playing it in Ritual Bombardment Shell. So we've had like the Samcat combo that plays this. This is one fewer color, but you're using Birthing Ritual to sack things like Trap Finder and Lucky Witness to find you your other pieces. You have a Johnny as just like a fair backup plan. Amped Raptor helps you find combo pieces. Goblin Bombardment pings and kills stuff. Then you have Fragment as removal. Guide of Souls in here. Martyr Devotee helps fix some of your mana, helps you scry for your combo as well. And it's also an enabler for the combo since it could scry and get it going there. You have Gemstones Caverns, just a way to kind of swap lands on the play, or sorry, when you're on the draw, you can try to get a land into play a little bit earlier. Lurrus should be the companion here. It's just not set up properly here. Thought Partition for hand hate, Surgical for graveyard hate, Seamer cheap removal, Meltdown for artifact hate. This one's a cool one. So it's Grixis Sneak and Show. So this one here, we don't have Sneak Attack, we don't have Show and Tell, but we have Caveron Consumed. It's an alchemy card. It's we have Sneak Attack at home. So 5 mana, you may put an artifact or creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. It perpetually becomes an artifact creature at base power 4/4, gains haste, sacrificing at the beginning of your next end step. So you can do a couple things here. So you put in Null Drifter, it draws you 2 cards, and then Annihilator 1. But the big hitters are Ulamog, comes into play. So when it enters with a number of counters equal to the cards you control in exile, on its base, if there's nothing else in exile, it's just going to be a 4/4 attacker, but ideally if you have stuff in exile, then it could just annihilate their board. You could Emrakul. Emrakul's, it's not a cast trigger, so you don't get the extra turn, but it's Annihilator 6. So you're trying to just like annihilate your opponent's board and get ahead there. So it's not as consistent as Sneak and Show, Show and Tell. You have Stock up to set up, Ugin's Binding, Talisman helps you set up. You can also consign the sack trigger, since it's a triggered ability, which works nicely. So another way kind of there. Gemstones, like I mentioned, when you're on the draw. Kozilek's a sweeper. Dismember for removal. Torpor Orb in here for ETBs. Some cheap removal, more consigns for like the mirror, and Chalice for low to the ground stuff. We then have Izzet Wizards, so this one's at 63. So this is the chorus version. So you have both Ribald Shanty and Hymn to Ages. Each time you cast one of these cards, your starting intensity across all your chorus cards increases by 1, and then they scale in terms of effectiveness. So Hymn to Ages draws cards equal to your intensity. So it starts with 1, and then if your intensity is 4, you draw 4 cards for 2 mana. Plays really nicely with like Dreadhorde Arcanist when you're flashing back spells. Ribald Shanty deals 2 damage to start and then scales with that. So this deals to creatures or planeswalkers. You have Swiftspear's Teaching, which is a 1 mana cantrip that gives your next creature you cast haste and prowess. Prowess stacks. Plays really nicely again with Dreadhorde. You do this on 1, cast Dreadhorde on 2, it gets haste, and you get to flash something back. Otherwise, you have Symmetry Sage, Slick Shots in here, Chain Lightning, Ponder for card advantage. Soulscar Mage is another wizard, and then Flame of Nor, Wizard's Lightning on top. Shinigami Companion, consigned for the Eldrazi matchups. You have Into the Floodmaw as cheap bounce, good against like Auras, for example. Spell Pierce, Cheap Disruption, along with Spell Snare, Stone of Erich for sack decks, Surgical for Graveyard Hate, Pyroclasm for energy, or Go Wide decks. And the last one, this is from the community. This is Zerakin. It looks like this is one of Ulth's decks, Ultheric's. It is a Simic ramp deck. They went 32 and 11 into numbered mythics. So it is a memory jar deck. So this deck, the card I believe is banned in a number of formats. 5 mana, you sacrifice memory jar. Each player sets aside their hand face down and then draw 7 cards at the beginning of each player's discard. Their hand and then returns the original hand they set aside. So your ramp deck, you have Exploration, Utopia Sprawl, Malavent Rumble, eventually getting into Ice Till. You can Ice Till, kind of wasteland lock your opponent with Ghost Quarter, blowing up a bunch of their lands. You'll eventually ramp to Omniscience, and then you just get to kind of chain through your deck. You also have Verdant Dread that you can pump mana to make a bunch of things. You have Shifting Woodlands that if you have Omniscience in your graveyard, you can then have the Woodlands become a copy of Omniscience. So when you cast the memory, we pop off with the memory jar, you get to then just cast a bunch of stuff for free, which is very powerful. Karn could go into your sideboard, and then once you kind of go from there, you combo off. So with Woodlands becoming a copy of Omniscience, you get Karn. You eventually can draw into multiple copies, but Ancestral Statue can basically keep bouncing itself. And then eventually what you do is once you build up enough storm count, you can use Karn to get the Aetherflux Reservoir instead. And then just you cast a spell, and then you fireball your opponent. Karn board to find a bunch of artifacts, Dismember to kill creatures in a Simic deck. That's it for the week. Let me know what you've been playing, what you've been liking, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.